Good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
We'll do that again. Good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
Thank you very much. It is actually 8:30 in the a.m. We're going to go ahead and get started because we have a lot of stuff to swallow this morning. And we want to make sure we get it all done. Is that all right? All right. I'm going to go ahead and call the Transportation Policy Committee to order. It is actually 8:31 now. I believe Mr. Jones was keeping up with it for me. We do have a quorum present. I pray that everyone reviewed the safety procedures. Do we have any visitors or anyone here who'd like to make comments? Is that where I am? Yes. Anybody in the book? Okay. Would you like to introduce them at this time, Mr. Jones, or wait until their debut?
Well, we have Jeff Whitaker from Kimley Horn here and Brandon.
Great. I think one of that duo has been here on more than one occasion. So
We have Jeff Whitaker from Kimley Horn here, and Brandon Hardaway from Kimley Horn, and Greg Renninger? Okay, from TxDOT. They're gonna present to you here in a few minutes.
all righty. We're glad to have you all. Thank you so much for being here. And you're smiling too, so that's good. All righty. We're going to move forward. Minutes from our last TPC meeting on September 19th. If you've had an opportunity to read them, I entertain a motion for approval. Mr. Rassengale made the motion. Atkinson. Oh, I get you guys mixed up sometimes.
Just so the record is correct.
Yes, sir. Mr. Atkinson made the motion, and I believe on this end, Mr. Kovar gave us a second. Any discussion? All those in favor of approving the minutes by the sign of aye?
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. We have an approval. All righty, item number 6. And I believe, if my notes serve me correctly, this is Mr. Kylan. You're going to be doing this one, I believe. Good morning to you.
So this is the Decision Lens update. So we use Decision Lens as our project selection tool. For all the projects that are submitted, we rank and prioritize the list, and then we go through them to determine what's selected and funded. So because of our new transportation bill, we needed to make some updates to make sure and get the correct criteria into our project selection. So that's what we've done. I'll go through a few things that have changed. Most of it is the same, but there are a few items. So I'm looking on page 18, if y'all want to go to that. The things that we added are project resiliency, and the children under that are value engineering and risk analysis. Another one is reliability. We added that criteria. And then under safety, we added the system-wide safety plan, the SS4A, which that is the plan that the MPOs all have to create as part of the state, the MPO task force, safety task. And then under alternative, on page 19, on alternative mode capacity increase, we added equitable transportation. So we added a transit line by itself, instead of including it with the other items like bike and pedestrian. So to go into more detail on those so you understand what they are, on page 20, project resiliency. So there's some tools used to mitigate project impacts to schedule and budget. And so those tools are value engineering and risk analysis. So value engineering is a systematic, organized approach to providing necessary functions in a project at the lowest cost. And then risk analysis is to determine high and low risk areas for a project that could impact the project. And so if the stakeholder is doing those things, you get credit for it. So that's what that is. On reliability, That's reducing or removing conflict points, increases this transportation reliability and safety. So that's referencing driveways, signals, medians, the things that make our roadways safer. And if you're implementing those into the projects, you get credit for it. System-wide safety plan, the SS4A, as I said, that's something that all MPOs, cities, counties, all local governments are going to need a safety plan in order to get certain federal dollars. And so that's something, if you have one of those, you get credit for it. And it's mainly the reason for that is to improve roadway safety by significantly reducing or eliminating roadway fatalities. That's the reason for the safety plan. And then on page 21, the equitable transportation transit. So like I said, it was grouped with the other items before, but we made it its own line. And the initiative allows USDOT to identify and prioritize projects that benefit rural and suburban, tribal, and urban communities. So essentially, if you are implementing transit stops, if you are in a low-income neighborhood that maybe they don't have cars, you know, all these things, if your project is in those areas, you get credit for it because it's a transit area. And so that's pretty much the things that we added to the existing project selection. Everything else stayed the same. So that is what we are here to discuss and approve, hopefully. So.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you so much. Before I go for anything, I have a quick question, if I may.
Mm-hmm.
I tell you what, let's go ahead and get a motion on this because we have to look at approving the resolution, then we'll have Mr. Massengill and Dr. Wilson. Thank you so much. I have a couple of questions, and I think you answered them, but I just kind of want to make sure I'm clearing it again. Some of these additional items can actually boost a project to a higher level or priority, am I correct?
Correct.
And that including with that safety plan. Did I see or have I missed the fact as to when this would, once it moves through the process, how soon this would go into effect?
So if it gets approved today, then our next project call, the MPO will open a project call for all of our categories of funding, and we will use it in this next project call. So even projects that were existing that had already been submitted will go through this new criteria. So it's now. We will start implementing it now. So the next time we select project, it will be based on this criteria.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions or comments? Sounds like everybody's all excited.
Okay, sounds good.
I will call for the vote at this moment. We're looking to approve the resolution on hand. If I can receive a motion and a second.
You did.
Oh, I did. That's why we discussed. Sorry. I'm sorry, going to call for the vote. Thank you, Judge. I'm glad you're here.
I'm with you.
You know, it's not even 9 o'clock. All of those in favor of approving the resolution 2023-20 by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. All righty. All righty. We're down to or up to agenda item number 7. Mr. Jones.
Thank you. TxDOT has launched a series of state meetings to gather public input on an initiative that they are developing to create a statewide active transportation plan. And the purpose of all the meetings across the state is to share TxDOT's vision for the active transportation planning process and their project selection criteria. So this morning, Mr. Whitaker and his team are going to present to you this statewide active transportation plan initiative, and we'll listen to them.
All righty. Good morning again.
Good morning. It's good to see you again. I'm excited here to present with Greg Reininger, the TxDOT PM, as well as Brandon Hardaway, who's coming behind you to hand something out. We're going to have a little bit of interaction because this is also about getting a little bit of input from you as we work through this process. But I'm going to give you a little overview. But before I start that, I wanted to kind of reiterate one of TxDOT's big mission statements, which is to help end the streak, which is to end the streak of daily deaths on TxDOT roadway. So we always try to begin our presentation with safety at the top of our mind, and this project is no different. So today we want to introduce the process that we're going through for the active transportation plan. We want to show you some data that we've gathered very briefly, and then really to get inputs and comments and hopefully share with your constituents to help us get input so we can help prioritize and work through policies for TxDOT's statewide plan. So just a quick overview. This is round one of the public meetings. There's going to be 2 rounds. We selected 10 locations across the state. There's actually a public meeting tonight in Amarillo. It's the closest one, but we wanted to make sure we came down to Lubbock during this round to make sure we introduced the topic. The meeting tonight corresponds with the State Long Range Transportation Plan, of which Lubbock will have a meeting on the State Long Range Transportation Plan as well, up in the coming. We do have our virtual website, so anything that is presented in the meeting, you can participate virtually. It's got a survey, it's got an online map, and it's got a way to sign up for updates. You can use the QR code to get there pretty easy, or if you go to the tex.gov site, search statewide active transportation, you can find it. Why is this important, and what are we doing? This is TxDOT's first time to do this plan. TxDOT has been really looking at active transportation since about 2015, so it's relatively new to the TxDOT, Texas Department of Transportation. However, this is the first time to undertake a comprehensive statewide active transportation plan. Really, we're looking at recommendations to improve walking, bicycle, rolling, or other modes that are typically human-powered. However, as technologies evolve, we're also looking at recommendations for electric-powered micromobility options, e-scooters and e-bikes, and we're looking across the different cities in the state of Texas as well across the nation of what they're doing policy-wise for that. We're hoping really to look long-term to 2050 to really establish priorities and policies through 2050 to really help inform TxDOT's plan of what they're going to do on this. We're trying to prioritize improvements with greatest needs. This is a statewide plan, so we're not necessarily looking at specific railroad crossings or things like that, but what are some large catalytic sites that we can do? And most importantly, we want to set performance measures to monitor progress. What does success look like? How are we going to tell 10 to 15 years if TxDOT met those performance measures? Is it miles of sidewalk? Is it miles of bike facilities? Is it improving intersections? What is those? Is it safety statistics like the end of the streak? What do those performance metrics look like? We do have a steering committee that has helped us put a vision statement together. The steering committee is diverse from different types of modes to geography. An architect from Amarillo is on that steering committee to represent West Texas as well as other parts. The Texas Active Transportation Plan is a collaborative effort to advance walking, biking, and rolling as a viable option towards a safe, acceptable, connected, and fully integrated multimodal transportation system for all Texans. This plan will support healthy, economically vital, and resilient communities with innovative solutions to increase active mobility. 2 sentences has a lot of meaning in those 2 sentences when you read it. So that's kind of our goal, and as we go through the project, that's really the vision of what we're trying to hit with some of these projects we're putting on. Give you a little bit about the timeline. We're at the very beginning. We're gathering input and data right now. In the winter, we're going to use a lot of analysis. We're looking at different things that you may not think about as traditionally TxDOT looks at. We're looking at health. We're looking at safety. We're looking at economic vitality. We're looking at different things and different indicators as a part of this project. We're going to have a draft plan review in summer 2024, and that's when we're going to do the second round of public engagement. Here's our recommendations, did we hit it? And then the adoption at the end of next year. Just some things to think about as you're responding to this. Why TxDOT's really interested in this is 12 million more people are projected to move to Texas by 2050. We also notice that aging populations and younger generations want alternatives to driving, or in some cases, they may have no other option. That's their primary mode. We also want to expand active transportation networks to improve connectivity and mobility. Technology is changing. As we were doing this project, we broadened our definition to include e-bikes and e-scooters. Some of those things may make people who never would ride a bike more and longer distances now. Rural communities and growing suburban communities want to enhance mobility options. And then just economic growth and shifts. As economics change, different trends happen, and we want to make sure we capture that. Why it's important? We want to create safe, interconnected, well-maintained bicycle and pedestrian micromobility networks, really to create livable and sustainable communities, to improve quality of life, and to support mobility devices as walking as traveling as a viable option. We also believe that we can paint the case that active communities contribute to healthy residents, reduce congestions, and support economic development. All three of those are indicators we're looking at as part of this plan, which is somewhat unique to this type of plan. We have a 5-prong approach to outreach. We are coordinating with federal highways to make sure, much like your previous presentation, to make sure that the decision lens lines up with what the FHWA is. We're making sure our plan lines up with FHWA. We're coordinating with TxDOT district and divisions. We actually are doing that after our first round of engagement, because what we want to hope is that we hear from the residents first, and then we can bring those questions back to the districts and say, this is what we heard from the districts. We're coordinating with the MPO and local governments. That's kind of what this meeting is. This is the MPO coordination. We're having public meetings virtually and in person, and we're also looking at nonprofit and advocacy groups. I will say that a Lubbock Compact came up to Amarillo yesterday to meet with us, and it was nice. They sat down with us and talked to us about different things that they thought, and so that we invited stakeholders, and they were one of the people that made the trip up to Amarillo to meet with us on one-on-one, so it was a nice impact from them. So we have a few things. We wanted to get some information from you. This is going to be online and virtual, but we wanted to understand, we're asking this question to everyone who comes in. We have a little activity. What matters to you most? Based on our steering committee, we had 14 items that they thought were important. Obviously, when you have 14 items, you have to prioritize things. So we've given what we call a priority pyramid exercise, where you have to pick your top 6. Obviously, there's the number 1, 2, and 3. So we were asking people, and I think everyone in here might have gotten one, but just to fill it in, to give us some data points for what the Lubbock area thinks of this. You know, just to give you a quick overview of these 14 items, accessibility is making sure that people of all disabilities can utilize the network. Comfort is, making sure that when you're walking that you feel comfortable. We were just driving down Avenue Q and can see the difference of the comfort with the bulb outs and the parking of walking down Avenue Q maybe than it was a few previously. Community need, that is kind of the umbrella for equity. What does the community need? Do they have to have a car by choice, et cetera? All right. Connectivity. Context, designing differently. If you're in downtown Lubbock, it should be designed maybe differently than if you're in far south Lubbock. Culture, a lot of we heard about is, well, that's great. That happens great in Europe. That happens great in the East Coast, but it won't happen in Texas. Should we spend some time understanding the culture? Design, making sure our streets are designed appropriately. Economic vitality, we really think that's important, painting the dollar case for why we'd invest in this infrastructure. Why does TxDOT want to invest millions of dollars into active transportation? What return on investment do they get? Money, funding sources. A lot of what we heard from people is like, we asked the question, what prevents you from doing some of these great projects? A lot of times it is money. Health, we're looking at 4 different indicators for health. We're looking at obesity, diabetes, heart disease, as well as asthma, and understanding how these investments can help fix that. Multimodal optionality. Education, we call it stakeholder engagement. Safety. And then stewardship is the umbrella for environmental sustainability and resiliency. So I know that y'all are filling that in. That's a little background for that. We wanted to end the meeting with a little bit of discussion, just if anyone on the dais wants to. One of the things that we're trying to document as we go out into the communities is successful projects that you would say, man, if I had more money, I would do more projects like this. Or like that was a successful project, go out and look at this and make sure we do that again. So we're trying to understand what different communities are defining as success. And then also our opportunities and challenges. So if there's anything you would like to share with us to take back in the time you have of successful projects you'd like to see done again, places of great opportunity, or maybe some challenges you see ahead, we'd love to hear that from you. We spent time yesterday, as I mentioned, with a bunch of stakeholders asking much more questions than these and hearing their feedback. So if there's any feedback that y'all want to give us on potential successful implementation or opportunities, we'd love to hear it.
If I may, I'll go ahead and jump in and then allow others to come. I started looking at these, and I couldn't pick just one that would be considered most important in, and I'm looking at it from the eyes of the district where I serve, because there are some equitable issues, should I say, and those could be addressed in many forms. But because the community is aging, the health is definitely a big need, would be a big concern. But the community needs as a whole, but what is that? It could be a multitude of these things. So I'd say the communities being able to convey what their needs are and putting those things in place. And I would begin to think that safety definitely would be one. Economic, health, culture, all of that. These are some good points.
It's a great
Anyone
point.
else?
I think all 1401s are the ones that our committee said, these are all important. We're just trying to understand maybe if we were putting money and resources somewhere, where do we focus? It's kind of what we're looking for, but we think all of these are important, actually.
I saw Mr. Massengale really getting down with this assignment. Would you like to share something, or Judge?
Got my stickers.
If you guys would like to share something, I'm sure that they'd be
Yeah.
welcome to hear it.
Yeah, I think the one that jumped at me, at least that I put on the top of my pyramid, was the community need. And I think, I know that can be interpreted pretty broadly, but to me, it's like that keeps us kind of in touch with our community. What does really our community need? I mean, do we need a scooter path along 114th Street? Well, I don't know. I doubt it. But we need to be in tune with our community and what our community needs. The areas, I mean, because we've got a large university here at Texas Tech, and obviously mobility and moving around, it's not really a driving campus anymore, but there's a whole lot of movement that happens on the campus. So we need to constantly be looking at what is our community needs? That's why I put it at number one. That's how I defined it anyway, is that when we look at our community, how do we define these areas and what issues of mobility need to happen in those particular areas of our community?
It's looking at the needs more than anything else. That's great. Thank you.
Okay, is it
Mr.
show and
Massengale.
tell for my homework, Madam Chair?
Please do.
So, first of all, I agree with the chair that it's hard to single out any one of these as the top priority. But what stuck out to me was connectivity. I mean, that's to me, that's why we're trying to move people around. Safety is obviously a factor. You know, you always want infrastructure to look like whatever you're doing to support your economy. Safety, accessibility, design, and you know, funding sources I struggled with because I could have moved funding sources up, but economic and safety are equally important. So there's my homework for the day.
And we're going to collect them from y'all, so y'all are we're going to get this put into, and you'll end up, we're going to evaluate. What I find is going to be interesting is we've seen a little different, we've looked at different areas of the state, and we see a little bit different trend on what it is. So it's kind of, what we've kind of concluded from that is different parts of the state probably have different priorities. So maybe it's the community need that are different across each state, each district and area. Well, those are great input. Any other thoughts you want to share with us?
If I could ask Mr. Jones, I know we had the bike and walk plan that we looked at previously. What role, if any, could that potentially play or be meshed in, or?
Our bike plan
Yes, sir.
could play into this
Yeah,
initiative.
if at all, if anything.
It could play a large role.
It's
Just like any MPO across the state, that is input into what they're trying to do to create a statewide active transportation plan. So definitely it's input.
one of the things that we're doing at the very beginning is we reached out to every city, over 25,000 people in every MPO, and we've asked them for any plans that they've done before, and that's going to be our foundation, if you will, of the plan. So we're starting with the walk and bike Lubbock plan
Oh,
and
cool.
building upon that. Yep.
Yeah, thank you. I tell you, I carry that with me everywhere I go.
Okay.
Is that plan. I came across
Great.
an additional copy. Thank you. I'm glad to hear that Lubbock Compact made their way there.
Yep, they reached out to us, and they've already put in some, if you go into the online map, which I'll skip to that, and we're actually looking at, we have profiles, there's a lot of exhibits on the website, but on the website, we're asking people to do 3 things. You can put your email in there, and we'll give you updates. There's an interactive map, which some people have already put some comments in Lubbock on there. If you were involved in the Walk and Bike Lubbock, very similar to the interactive map we did on that, but from a statewide perspective. We can also email, text at any point in time. This goes straight to Greg, so he can respond to you. And then we have a voicemail set up for those who may not have computer access. If they want to talk to us, there's a voicemail that people can leave a message, and we'll try to get back to them and kind of give them more updates. But online, it's a virtual meeting, so it's a presentation. You can watch a 5-minute presentation that kind of goes over what I just went over with you. And then there's a survey as well. So this is really the kind of advertisement we wanted to give to y'all. And it's going to be open through the end of November, so it's not something that has to be done today, but for the next 2 months, we're going to be trying to gather input.
I appreciate the data. Anyone else? Any comments? Mr. Massengill?
No, ma'am.
Okay, thank you
Thank you.
so much.
And we'll take those back from y'all if you don't mind.
Can we keep the extra stickers?
Yeah, you keep the extra sticker from the description.
I hadn't finished mine,
put our name
No. I will put that from the other.
Actually, finish it.
but
I was gonna make a joke about that, but I won't.
thanks again. Any comments from your team this morning? From any comments or you'd like to have? We don't want to.
Yeah, I'll say something real quick. So good morning, Greg Reininger. I'm with TxDOT Public Transportation Division, the Bike Ped program in Austin. And we just appreciate you giving us time this morning to put us on the agenda. But we know, like we mentioned, already work going on in Lubbock. There's a lot of work going on across the state that we really want to incorporate. I think a lot of these communities have already gone through a great deal of effort, and we don't want to duplicate that effort. People have already done that. So I think, like Jeff mentioned, that's kind of our first goal, was figuring out what's already happened, helping us to incorporate this into our first time effort. But we plan on coming back again once we kind of have our draft plan later next year, and have the opportunity to give everyone the chance to see what we've created and what we've heard across the state. But we just appreciate the time and consideration this morning. Thank you.
All righty, we are moving down the road. Pun was intended, but. Item number 8, I believe this is regarding some bylaws stuff.
Some bylaw stuff.
Yes, sir.
As I wrote in your backup on agenda item 8, Dr. Addington has personally asked the board to consider a bylaws change. Basically, he's asking you to consider removing the mayor's office as the selectee in favor of an appointment or a selection from the Wolfforth City Council. With regard to the bylaws can be amended by a 2/3 vote of the membership of this committee at any duly called meeting with a quorum present. However, you must defer your vote to the next meeting in order that we facilitate the public involvement piece of that process. So what we're asking you to do this morning is actually, if you agree with the proposal, is to simply authorize us to proceed with the public initiative part of that process, and then we'll come back at the next meeting and ask you to vote on that. At the TAC level, the discussion there was in favor of the bylaws change, but they wanted to add the condition that the selectee be an elected member from the Wolfforth City Council. And so that's my presentation.
Madam Chair.
Yes, sir. Judge Parrish?
Yeah, I completely and 100% support this bylaw amendment. And I think going forward, I mean, this would almost even match what currently happens at the city council and the county commissioner level as well. And so within the body, they designate somebody to take the seat on the MPO. And with that, I don't know if you need a vote or you just need a head nod, or I'm not sure what you need.
I'd rather have.
You need a
vote.
head nod. I'm looking over at council, just a head nod.
He said
And it-
vote.
Oh, you need a vote. Oh, that means vote.
I need
Okay,
to-
and with that, I will make a motion.
Just starting the process.
Okay, with that, I will make a motion to approve beginning the process
Public
of changing
involvement.
the bylaws as presented.
That's,
Okay, we have a motion by Judge Parrish, second by Dr. Wilson. Any further comments, or Mr. Massengill?
no, ma'am.
Okay, you keep staying red down there. I just
Oh,
think
I'm-
that you're wanting to. Any comments down on this end? Because I hope it doesn't bother anyone that I say, I think it's kind of, I don't know, even know what the word I want to use. But I mean, not being able to have someone represent that area is an issue. And I think Mr. Jones and I had brought it up, discussed it previously, because there's no representation, especially if there's a stranglehold within the bylaws that keep someone from being able to represent that area. I think that's an issue. So any other comments, questions? If not, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor of the motion made on the change in the bylaws, you'll vote by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Thank you very much. All righty. Item number 9. I can't remember who's Mr. Lucero is coming with us this morning.
Good morning.
Good morning, Mr. Lucero.
We're actually on the back end of this process that's mandated by the federal government, and the process began last April after the census released their urbanized areas and the geographic mandated review that comes with every census. We came to this body in April, asked them to evaluate what was designated as an urban area. And so in your packet and at the dais, we had kind of left a map here based off of the information that was given in April. The very dark blue, dark navy blue areas, those were all the urbanized areas that were designated by the census. This body asked us to be able to take a look and evaluate based off of the regulations to be able to see what areas needed to be what they called smoothed out, and then to evaluate the sister law, which was after every census to be able to take a look at the planning area. And so on this map, you'll see it's a little bit different from the one presented before. The pink area represents what was the planning area. And so back in April, our planning area was represented by the pink shape that is located there on top of that navy blue Lubbock designated area. As you can kind of see and remember, the blue area kind of grew over the census in some areas and shrank in others based off of just their new rules. And because of that, you asked us to be able to go out and be able to do some evaluation. And during that time, we went through and we spoke with our city communities, state organizations, state DOTs, local stakeholders, and local communities. We presented to you before a map that's a little bit bigger than that with all the micro and metro areas within the whole United States. As you can kind of see with the blow up next to you, you'll see there that we can kind of see there and evaluate. If you remember, there was micro and metro areas that were neighboring us in our counties. Most predominantly, the one that kind of gave us a little bit of interest was taking a look at the micro and metro areas within New Mexico, because those areas had a couple areas that might have become metro areas, but they just fell a little bit short. They were within 1,000, 1,500 for the Clovis and Hobbs region. With that, we spoke with the New Mexico DOT, with our local partners there in those communities in District 5 and District 2, and their anticipation is by the next census, they will be an MPO. And we kind of spoke with them to kind of understand what they thought was their commuter shed, and kind of got some of that influence, and some of their commuter shed happens to spill over into what we think is our commuter shed. And so we took a look at those freight numbers, as if you remember, and we presented those freight numbers and those commuter numbers from the north, south, east, and west. Some of those that were kind of a little bit more meaningful were the 18,000 trips on a daily average that were coming in from the north along I-27. We had approximately 1,400 trips daily coming in along Clovis Highway and exiting along Slayton. And then we had neighboring trips that were coming in off of FM 14, FM 40, and coming in from US 87 on a daily basis. And so with that being said, we had the charge from this committee to be able to go out and reach out to the neighboring counties of Hale, Hockley, Lynn, and Crosby to be able to see kind of what their anticipation was, what some of their needs were, to reach out to our regional partners at SPAG and their planning needs, and to kind of discuss this with TxDOT. With that, I'd like to report that we've done all that public outreach as directed. And we've gone out to those communities. We've reached out to all the urbanized areas as mandated within the U.S. Census for those urbanized areas that would be part of the planning area if so designated. And so we've now completed that. We do have 2 smaller meetings left for a couple communities, which will take place tonight at Shallow Water, as well as a future meeting for Lubbock County as a whole, because we are proposing to bring in Lubbock County wholly and not just the partial portion that was originally part of the MPO planning boundary. And so that will be on the docket. With that being said, in your packet, you will see there's resolutions, draft resolutions, which have already been passed since the time of the publication of this agenda at those local communities for Hale, Hockley, Lynn, and Crosby. You'll see support resolutions for the communities of Levelland, and one draft for Plainview, Shallow Water, and Slayton. It has asked to be part of this planning process. And so at this point in time, we ask for your support in supporting a resolution to expand out to what is considered or called underneath the U.S. CFR as the combined statistical area, which includes our micropolitan and metropolitan statistical areas, and expanding out to the 5-county planning boundary as we've done the outreach and research as directed by the policy committee. At this time, I stand for any questions.
Thank you, Mr. Lucero. Saw this coming, right? Yes, saw this coming. Glad we've been working on this. As we get ready to prepare for some discussion, I'd entertain a motion for us to approve the resolution 2023-17. A motion made by Mr. Kovar. Second by Mr. Warren. All righty. Any questions of Mr. Lucero? Any comments or no? Where's all the pep today, guys? Hey, I wore my good shoes. Anyone else? Okay. Okay. If you care to share what your disagreement is? Yeah. Instead of.
Yeah.
But, Mr. Lucero, if I hear you right, you're really looking at all of Lubbock County being in?
So as a planning area, what the planning boundary does is it allows us to do planning for the 20-year horizon. And so what it would occur is any of these counties that have rural communities would still be doing their rural planning in connection with SPAG. So we're not usurping the rural planning process. What we're doing is we're intermingling our planning boundary with SPAG, and we're connecting those 2 processes together. And so if there's a project that's now in a rural portion of Lubbock County, per se, and there was a concern there that, there was some traffic maybe on FM40 coming in along FM40, and it was affecting the interconnection with US 289 or something like that, then we had to evaluate a safety concern at that point in time. That allows the MPO process to be able to go ahead and take a look and say, what can we do to be able to help that safety concern? Or what can we do to be able to help generate a better commute or a better freight movement or a number of transportation questions? And so it just allows us to be able to take a look and be able to add to TxDOT's process. We're not removing TxDOT's process. All we're doing is adding to it.
So, and I'm understanding what, some of your disagreement, I'll say that. Is it your opinion that that's possibly something that Amarillo should be looking to include? Oh, okay, okay. I thought you were talking about the outline. Okay, gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. I'm glad I asked that. I was going. Okay. Any other comments or questions? Mr. Warren.
Okay, you say all this allows us to do planning, but is Category 7 Category 2, Category 4, U can only be spent in the dark purple area, is that correct?
So for the urban funds, those can be spent in urbanized areas unless if there's a rural connection that affects the urban area, then there possibly could be some, a recommendation from this policy board to expend funds in those areas if there's a positive net effect to the urban area. Yes, that's how the regulation reads.
Of course, this body only has so much Cat 7. We don't have enough to take care of the needs within the dark purple right now. So is this going to open the door for Plainview, Levelland, Slayton, Shallowater to come screaming at this group wanting funding for their pet projects?
No, I don't think it's gonna open the door for that, but you can spend money in the planning area boundary, as you have done in the past. But this board has to make a special finding in order to do that. And you have to evaluate all the planning criteria. But you can spend money in the planning area boundary if you want to, and you have done so in the past.
Construction funding?
Mhm. Mhm. You have made that decision, but again, it takes a special finding from this board in order to do that,
Okay,
so.
thank you.
Any other comments or questions? All righty. And our task is that you're asking that we approve this resolution that is before us, correct? All righty then. We have a motion and second. I will call and ask for those in favor of approval of this resolution 2023-17. Please vote by the sign of aye. Aye. All those opposed, same sign. Thank you very much. Mr. Lucero, I think you're gonna get us for item 10, please.
So on item 10, this is just the conclusion of the last meeting's presentation on functional class. We've opened up for public comment. We have not received any public comment concerning the proposed functional class changes. And so at this time, once again, we put at your dais, or we put at your seats there, a copy of what the current functional class map is for the Lubbock region. We've also included inside your packet the 34 changes that were proposed to be able to improve the functional classification for those areas. And at this time, we're just looking to be able to receive approval of those changes as presented last meeting.
I have a quick question, Mr. Lucero, if I may.
Mhm.
I'm looking at it, and it's indicated the interstates, but that I'm trying to think of, what is that? 84?
US 84?
Yes. Does that not extend?
So as US 84, it just depends on where it's located. It could be considered a rural highway. It can be considered an urban highway. It's dependent on the actual number of volumes of trips as well as the construction of that at that location.
Okay.
And it's a little bit difficult because depending on the frontage road is really close to some of those, you'll get some overlap. And so like on on Interstate 27, it kind of goes from interstate to like expressway to collector roads. And those collector road designation there isn't the actual interstate that's designated as a collector road. It's the frontage road that's right next to it.
Alrighty. Okay. task is to approve the resolution, adopting the updates to the functional classification system. I would like to entertain a motion if I could. Dr. Wilson, thank you for that motion.
I'll second.
Judge Parrish for the second. Any questions? And I know that there's a listing of all of the spots and what have you as a part of our packet. Any other questions, comments, or grunts, anything like that? All righty. All those in favor of approval of the resolution, please vote by saying aye. Those opposed, same sign. Thank you. Adam. Agenda number 11, I think this is in reference to our public input, correct? Okay. And we have it. Trying to see the dates and times. All righty, Mr. Jones.
For agenda item number 11 is just your call for a public participation. And in that regard, we've had 2 meetings already. We've had one person show up in person and put his comments into the record. And if there's anybody here today that wants to speak, we need to listen to that, and then you close the meeting, and we'll go to the next agenda item.
All righty. So we're moving to agenda item 12 and asking those individuals who may have input.
You need to close.
12.
Close the.
Oh, okay. Yeah, okay, I'm sorry, 11.
Open your public.
I am opening the public comment section for agenda item 11 in reference to public comments and input. Anyone who wishes to have words, have comments with regard to this item? Seeing and hearing none, I'll go ahead and close the public input section. Anything else on that? Now we'll move to item number 12, sorry.
Item 12, yes.
I think I had my notes on the wrong one. All righty, Mr. Jones.
You ready?
I'm ready now. Doggone it.
On agenda item 12, as I wrote in your backup, the Texas Division of FHWA rejected your last resolution to bring our current MTP, our long-range plan, forward because they didn't think it contained enough updated material or demographic information to satisfy the requirements that are contained in our current surface transportation legislation, or the bill, if you will. We had been working on the update all this time, as you noted in your previous resolution. We didn't meet our deadline because of the reasons that were set out in that resolution. But that doesn't seem to matter to them. So we, when they rejected your resolution, we immediately took all of our work, packaged it up, sent it in where we had been working on that update. They had it the next day. They've been looking at it, and we have since even cleaned it up more and have sent them additional information on that 2050 plan. And so what we're asking you to do today is to support the resolution and recognize the draft 2050 plan. And once they accept that, we'll come back and bring back to you all the added bells and whistles that we originally planned to do prior to them rejecting that earlier initiative. Bells and whistles mean that we'll come back to you with an expanded public involvement process that I think you'll be pleased with. We'll add some graphics to the report and polish it up and make it look really nice. But what we have sent them and what we were working on was a plan to meet, according to the law, all the minimum standards. And you have a list of minimum standards in your agenda backup. And Martin and the staff have created, he'll come here just in a second, has created a handout. I believe you have it at your seats, where you can go down all the list of minimum requirements that are in the law, and he has pointed out where you find that in our document. And so we will send that as well to FHWA. And that's basically what we're about on this agenda item. Just asking you to support the resolution. And we'll come back in a month or so and bring back a plan on all the public involvement, the nice public involvement piece we plan to do, and some other things. Questions?
Any questions for Mr. Jones? Mr. Warren?
The previous agenda item, we opened and closed the public meeting. Are we not through with public involvement on the MTP?
We are for this particular agenda item, but what we had planned was a larger public involvement process, and we still intend to bring that to you. But all we're doing here is meeting minimum standards.
So the purpose of this resolution is to send our proposed MTP to the feds to get them to lift the exception on our Loop 88 project.
Yeah.
Okay. And so do you think this, you can't ever speak for the feds, I know, but do you think this is sufficient to get that exception lifted?
I think it is, because as I've already indicated, we have written to you, and you will send it on to them, a list of the required minimum standards directly out of the law, and we tell them where they can find those standards in our text, in our draft.
Okay. Well, I'll tell this board that it's vital that we get this done before the end of October, because we're trying to accelerate the next project on Loop 88 into January. And that can't happen until this gets approved by the feds. And we've also been told that if we don't make this acceleration date, this is our one and only chance. So it will go back to FY '27, I think.
27.
Yeah. So this is pretty important stuff.
Thank you, Mr. Warren. Thanks for giving us that information. And I think Mr. Jones even conveyed just how important it is. We just want to make sure we do what they're asking us to do so we can move forward. Any other questions, comments? I'd entertain a motion.
Second.
Mr. Warren, motion, and Mr. Massagale, second. All those in favor of the approval of this item, would you please vote by saying aye?
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. All righty, there you go, we have it. I believe we're down to our report section. Who's gonna? Mr. Jones, you're gonna get us going.
Mr. Warren's favorite part of the agenda.
I came in late, I may leave early.
Beginning on page 118 in your agenda backup is the current statewide revenue forecast from TxDOT to support the 2023-2047 statewide long-range plan and the intermediate 2024-2033 unified transportation plan. The revenue forecast is required annually as codified in the Texas Administrative Code, and it helps the commission and the MPOs align their respective planning processes. The reason it goes out to 2047 is because TxDOT and Tempo, our statewide association, have agreed to a 5-year extension beyond that 20-year planning horizon, and we help them actually create those those numbers for that extension. All the different revenue components notwithstanding, a couple of major takeaways in the forecast are the revenues that are brought in by Prop 1, which is the oil and gas severance tax legislation, which currently is scheduled to sunset in 2043. And the revenues out of Prop 7, which is the motor vehicle sales and use tax legislation, which is scheduled now to sunset in 2042, except for the tax use portion of that, which expires in 2039. Moving on to page 123 is a calendar for the October call for the November quarterly revisions. And I've asked Kylan to give us a quick update on our 23-26 TIP projects.
So on our four-year plan, FY23, we let the Woodrow Road project. It should start construction at the beginning of November, so that's good to go. Avenue Q is under construction. If you've driven down that road, you're very aware. FY24, we have the Upland project from 66 to 82nd. It's ready to let, and it should let in December. It's just waiting on that MTP to remove the exception. And then we also will let the Transportation Alternative Program, our project that the City of Lubbock has done at various locations to the City of Lubbock, it will let in November. FY25, the next Upland job from 82nd to 98th, the PS&E and right-of-way are 100%. They're relocating utilities right now. FY26, the last Upland portion, 98th to 114th. The plans are about 95%, and they have started right-of-way. And then the Woodrow Road shared use path. The plans are complete, the right-of-way is in process, and utilities are in process. So that is an update on our four-year plan.
And the last two report items on page 124 is an article about mobile driver's license. Nowadays, you can put just about anything on your phone if you have a smartphone. And so some states like Arizona, Maryland, Georgia, Florida, Mississippi, Missouri, Oklahoma, Utah, and now Colorado have all started putting certain things on their phones, including mobile driver's license. The recurring argument is that the government is tracking you, which they are anyway already, and they have difficulties if your phone is lost or stolen or damaged. That notwithstanding, the only other difficulty that all these states are having is transmitting biometric data over the phone. So look out for mobile driver's license. It's coming your way. And lastly, our financial report. It's the same report that you had last month, except that we are showing you that we have collected our revenue, albeit nearly a month into the new year. It's $1.5 million, which is 819 odd thousand over our expenses, which are at 72% right now. So we're good. And that's all my report, Madam Chair.
All righty. Are there any comments and goodbye wishes any of you guys would like to make before we wrap it up? I want to thank the staff for your being here. Even our guests who's out there in the lobby, looks like they're having a good time. Glad they were here to share that. If nothing else, oh, I'm sorry.
I just have a question. Is this the chair's new vehicle of the MPO? Is that why this is passed out?
You know, one might think based on the amount of income that I garner from such a position,
Your little
but no.
your little book, your little handout here is a TxDOT publication, by the way. It's on the status of electric vehicles. Some interesting reading there. And there's if you know people in the school district, there's an opportunity for school districts to get free, what's the?
The electric vehicle, or the electrification plan for Texas had come out. They came and did the EV roadshow last month. We had the honor of having our chair announce and direct that meeting. As part of that, they announced that very same day that all the school districts within Lubbock County qualify for being put into a drawing for electric buses. If they get drawn out of the drawing, they have the opportunity to be able to purchase as many buses as they'd like for $40,000. These are the shorter, stubby 20-passenger vehicles. The electric
Okay.
vehicle bus
Mr.
program.
Lucero, I'm gonna get a whipping here in a minute from Mr. Wade.
The speaker, we're talking about something that's not on the agenda.
Okay, not a problem.
We are now
We'll set it
adjourned.
up. Yes.
If y'all want to